Great Family Night at the Millennium stage. Tonight's performance is presented in collaboration with Kids Euro Festival. And now, please welcome to the stage Eva Schrieffer from the Embassy of the Austria.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for coming here. My name is Eva Schrieffer. I'm the director of the Cultural Institute of the Embassy of Austria. And we are very, very happy here to be able to make this performance tonight happening, which is part of the Kids Euro Festival, as you all know. And we brought some musicians in from Austria. You will hear more about them. They are two young musicians, one pianist and one cello player, and then there's another third artist who is going to be the storyteller for you tonight. Before I welcome them on the stage, I just would like to also let you know that they were really, really happy to be here, and they tried a lot because they just arrived 1 hour ago from the airport. Their plane was cancelled yesterday. We were not sure if they're gonna make it. They somehow did it. They did everything that is possible, and just to say we're very lucky because 1 hour ago they just arrived here, and then even one of them got her luggage lost, so everything went bad, but now they're excited to be here. We're very happy that you all came. Please give them a warm welcome, Lana, Maija and Marlies. Thank you.
Dear audience, hi kids. I'm a little bit nervous because English is not my first language. I speak German normally. There are so many people here, but you all look very friendly, and I'm sure you will help me. Will you? Thanks. I would like to introduce to you 3 women, including myself, who come from different countries in Europe. Maija is a pianist and comes from Latvia in northeastern Europe. Lana is a cello player and comes from Croatia in southeastern Europe. And I am from Austria, which is located at the center of Europe. Today you will hear a concert performed by this duo, Maija Karklina on the grand piano and Lana Berakovic on the cello. They will play the Suite Italienne for you. The music for the Suite Italienne was written by the Russian composer Igor Stravinsky. Can you imagine what the times were like 100 years ago? Can you imagine a life without the internet, cell phones and our modern comforts? Mr. Stravinsky was born in 1882 in a town named Lomonosov, that's in Russia. And he died in 1971 in Essex House in New York City. But you can visit his grave on an island in Venice in Italy, where he and his wife were buried. Igor Stravinsky was a famous composer in his time. He composed symphonies, music for ballet, chamber music, and many other pieces. His Suite Italienne for cello and piano is a frequently performed masterpiece of the 20th century. It is not only famous for the beautiful and colorful style in which it was written, but also for its unique sound effects and technical challenges. It's really difficult to play, isn't it? This piece is a reworking based on the composer's ballet, Pulcinella, which was completed in 1920. Before we can try to understand what kind of story the music of Suite Italienne tells us, we have to travel even further back in time. Stravinsky took parts of his composition from two other composers who had lived about 300 years from now. Their names are Giovanni Battista Pergolesi and Domenico Gallo. They lived in 18th century Italy and were very famous in their time. But what sounds like shameless plagiarism is something that has been actually pretty common throughout the history of music. Composers have always taken parts of the music written by other composers to rewrite it or make it more contemporary, interesting, or let's even say cool. In this cello and piano piece, the order of movements, which are the parts of the composition, is as follows: introduction, serenata, aria, tarantella, and minuetto e finale. At first, you have to know that Pulcinella, the main character here, is a classical comedy figure and mostly appears as a puppet. His Anglo-American counterpart is the figure of Punch from the Punch and Judy shows, which I'm sure you all know. In the 18th century in Italy, Pulcinella was used to represent the voice of the people. Back then, only men of the upper class were allowed to pursue political careers, but they hardly ever knew what the people really wanted or needed. Money was equal to having power over people. That's why the people created comic characters that expressed their feelings, fears, and problems in order to make fun of the upper classes and the often ignorant monarchs. In music, characters are often referred to by melodies. You might know this from today's movies, in which different characters have certain melodies or themes that you hear when they appear on screen. Music can express or underline different feelings and actions. This is also the case in Suite Italienne. It tells you a story without words. Maija will now play the melody that occurs when Pulcinella is here. Thank you. Maija and Lana will now play the introduction of the Suite Italienne, which is also called the Overture. The music will introduce you to different characters that are part of the story and gives you a hint of what the story is all about. Let us now travel back to Italy around the year of 1700 together. Dive with us into a story about love, jealousy, masquerade, and magic, in which Pulcinella has to choose between his one true love and the many women that want to be his only sweetheart. Serenata is the second part of the suite. Here, the actual story begins. And this story is really complicated and confusing, and there are many different characters. But anyway, I will try to tell you. Two men who are friends, Caviello and Florindo, appear in front of the balconies of two ladies named Rosetta and Prudenza in hope of being heard. They sing beautiful songs for the women to make them come out of their houses. The two women are not really impressed by their singing, so they fetch water and pour it on them. Eventually, the doctor, Prudenza's father, chases the two men away with his walking stick. Then Pulcinella appears. Mysterious yet attractive, he immediately gets the attention of the two women who dance around him and try to seduce him. His girlfriend, Pimpinella, who watched the scene from distance, isn't amused. Although Pulcinella speaks of his deep love for her, she doesn't believe him. In the meantime, Caviello and Florindo reappear out of the dark, jump towards Pulcinella, and beat him up because they are jealous. Pimpinella is shocked and calls out for help. Rosetta and Prudenza chase the two men away, and the three women take care of Pulcinella. The doctor and Tartaglia, Rosetta's father, finally guide the two women home, and so Pimpinella and Pulcinella are alone. Suddenly, the two men appear again, but this time in disguise and carrying a sword. Pulcinella, feeling the danger, tries to escape together with his girlfriend, but Florindo stabs him after a tough fight. Heavily wounded, Pulcinella falls to the ground, and the two men leave, assuming that Pulcinella is dead. Now, kids, let us listen to the music and see if you can hear the story. As mentioned before, the third part of the suite is called Aria. In this part, the story goes on. Pulcinella manages to stand up and walks away. Then, in a completely crazy scene, 4 small Pulcinellas appear, carrying a 5th, normal-sized, on their shoulders. They lay him down exactly where the heavily wounded Pulcinella came to rest. They dance around the body, and then the doctor comes. He pronounces Pulcinella dead. Suddenly, a magician appears with a large pole in his hand. He claims that he can bring Pulcinella back from the dead. After dancing around his pole, he orders Pulcinella to rise, which is what he does. In amazement and happiness, the 4 small Pulcinellas, Rosetta and Prudenza, dance. The doctor and Tartaglia are unable to move because they are so amazed. The magician then takes off his wig and gown and reveals that he is in fact Pulcinella. But Furbo, Pulcinella's best friend, has been impersonating Pulcinella all along. It was him whom the 4 small Pulcinellas had carried. in the fourth part, Tarantella, the four small pulcinellas dance around the still motionless doctor and Tartaglia. Then they leave. Pulcinella and Furbo gently lead the doctor and Tartaglia away. Pimpinella enters tiptoeing. Pulcinella and Furbo watch her, but when she becomes aware of their presence, she gets scared and runs away. Pulcinella makes Furbo go after her. Meanwhile, Florindo and Caviello appear wearing Pulcinella masks. They dance, play tricks and each other, then, feeling secure in their disguises, renew their attentions to Prudenza and Rosetta and enter the houses of their respective love interests. Eventually, Prudenza appears together with Florindo. Then Rosetta appears together with Caviello. Pimpinella returns with Furbo, who draws her towards him. Suddenly, Pulcinella comes back. The women run to greet him. He kicks the three men and tells them to leave. Pulcinella goes after Florindo and Caviello and unmasks them. He leads them to their respective love interests, while Furbo puts on the magician's costume. Tarantella. This was the wild tarantella. A tarantella is a folk dance from the south of Italy, where our story takes place. It is said that dancing a tarantella can cure almost everything, even the otherwise deadly sting of a tarantula. All you have to do is dance it until total exhaustion, and the poison will escape from your body. But now to the minuetto e finale, the parts in which the story comes to an end. The doctor and Tartaglia enter, and the magician suggests that the now happy couples marry. They agree, and the magician conducts marriage rites, after which Pulcinella declares his desire to marry Pimpinella. Now, let us listen to the whole Suite Italienne once again, just the music without breaks. Close your eyes if you want and let the melodies and the atmosphere sink in. Try to remember the story while listening and see if you can imagine the different characters interacting with each other.
Thank you for joining us at Millennium Stage. As we prepare for another performance, we ask that you help us by heading towards the back of the seating area so we can safely put away our chairs. If you would like to meet the artists, they will be in the back